did you have to ask the question that you already knew the answer to? You want something clear, cut, you try something, you know the answer, but you're now asking someone else what they think about something that you want to do. A lot of the time, yeah, we do that because we know people and we know that certain people may give us an answer that could help us, right? Or we know that at the end of the day, we're maybe in two minds about something. But for the most part, there are certain questions we know the answer to. So you may meet somebody on the street, you start talking for whatever reason, you know, they mention something, you mention something about what you're looking to do, or you may speak to a friend, or you may speak to somebody at work about a specific thing, but you may word it in a way that you're not making it clear that it's you about, you know, what you want to talk about in terms of what you want to say this particular thing is that you want to do, but you make it seem like it's somebody else, but it's actually you. But you word the question and ask for their opinion on something that you're clear on, but you ask for their opinion anyway. And then when you get an answer that you're not fond of, you're now in your head about what it is you already know the answer to. So now you're basically swayed by someone else's opinion who sometimes doesn't even have the experience or doesn't even have any kind of understanding of what it is you do or want to do, and doesn't have the understanding in the way you see it, right? And then all of a sudden you're in your head talking to yourself and maybe talking yourself out of something that you've thought of. You must know this has happened, I'm sure, where you've had that kind of proposition where it's like, okay, what am I doing now? And you start questioning yourself, second guessing yourself as if you don't know what you want to do. It's like, did I have to ask that question? You know, you start questioning, why did I even ask? Why? And even sometimes you ask that question and you know a particular answer you're going to get because you may know somebody well. So you kind of know this person may say a certain thing. I would advise, firstly, don't even say it to that person in the first place, but also not allowing what you have already made a clear distinction on, a clear understanding on, to be affected by someone else's opinion who might not have, like I say, an understanding of it. They may just be putting their fears onto you, which in turn has now made you start speak and question if what you want to do or what it is that you thought of is important, and if it's even likely to happen, as opposed to thinking of what you already know, the answer to your question, you know it already, and thinking of what makes sense to how you view what it is you are looking to do or whatever it is you thought of. You know, we always sometimes get to a point where we want that extra yes from somebody to say, yes, you can do such and such. It will be nice. It will be nice if you get that. And I'm sure people get that. But there's also times where you have to say yes and then go through whatever process you have to go through to be able to get through the line and get over the line and stay over that line and don't go back. You have to make that assessment and make your own answer to your own question that you already know the answer for, and also reiterate that answer. Yes, I'm going to be doing such and such. Yes, I am clear on my objective or my objectives that, you know, I have planned. So being clear is the biggest thing. Having other people dampen your thoughts and dampen your spirits about what it is you have planned, and you know exactly how you're looking to do it because you've already made a clear understanding of it. You cannot allow other people and other people's opinions, even when you ask them and a question you shouldn't have asked, to affect you. You know, asking the question of their opinion, asking the question of what do you think of this, and you're asking normally the wrong person. It's good to hear both sides. Some people may say it's good to hear, the side of what could happen wrong or what could happen, you know, if you do certain things, what negative things could happen. But that is something that can put you off to a point where you don't even do what it is you want to do, especially if you know exactly what it is and how you have to do it. Because At the end of the day, it's all about the process first and foremost. The objective, you want the result. We all want the result, but it's all about the process. Once you know your process, that's all that matters. You're going to learn things on the journey anyway. So what matters is the actual understanding of your process. And then on top of that, making the step. Having to ask a question, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And then someone gives you an answer that you start questioning, why did I even ask the question anyway? Why did I even ask someone's opinion about what I already know? You know, you start thinking, why did I do that? So it's important. And I've realized this. Once you're clear, that's enough. That's all that matters. If you get like-minded people around you to help, that's different. But sometimes talking to people who will put fears on you is limiting you. And then in turn, you can start being in your own head about what it is you've always wanted. And that's where you go wrong. But I've got a format I would want to express, give you a brief format of what I think makes sense and how I think it will work, especially when, you know, you've already got sort of a desire for something. So generally, I would say you should do certain tasks in stages. Generally, 1 to 2 hours a day of doing small steps to tasks that you know you can do, right? If 2 hours is too long, I would say up to an hour, where you do something one day and then another day an hour and then another. So within 7 days, you've probably caught up or achieved far more than you would have done if you don't have a format, right? Being clear on your format, being clear on the sort of time frames you will take for each task is important. So doing small tasks per day, up to 1 to 2 hours, but I would say 1 hour if 2 hours is too long. If it's not, then do as much you can within that time, right? Being clear on the task you're doing. Then 1 to 2 should be enough to mentally engage, to be fair, to start a new process, to start something that you've not done before, and a new sort of way you're training your brain and training your mind to be able to handle it. If you don't complete the tasks for the week, at least be accountable to have a list that you will say, for example, it's called the maybe list, where you've got certain tasks that you maybe need to do and you put that on the list, but you have to have the tasks initially for the 1 to 2 hours that you have to do. And then if you don't get around to do certain tasks, you put those tasks on a maybe list, on a I maybe need to do this at a certain time. And then you put whatever the task is, and then you put a date. So that's a format that I've realized works. Being able to write down a task, do small steps towards the task, small actions, 1 to 2 hours a day. Don't need to do longer than that, because this is something new. You need to be able to get accustomed to that new process. You don't want to force a process. You don't want to force certain things and then it becomes overwhelming, for example. So it's important, 1 to 2 hours a day. Then being able to manage the tasks by saying I'm going to have a maybe list for the tasks I don't complete. And if you look at that maybe list and think, you know what, there are tasks I can complete, then you apply the same process of 1 to 2 hours a day to complete them. And you zip your mouth and don't ask any more questions about what you want to do to someone else when you know what the answer is. You know, you always keep your information, your plans to yourself and only express it to like-minded people who could be helping you on your journey. Because all you need is the process to start. The results, we don't know exactly when things will happen for anything that we do, but we do know that we can make a process and we don't need anyone distracting us from the process. That's the key. Being clear on the process, being clear on what it is you want to do and how it's going to be done, and the tasks that you're going to be doing towards that. 1 to 2 per day, 1 to 2 hours per day. And then on top of that, being clear on having a maybe list with certain tasks you did not complete that you assigned to your, initial task list, and then obviously being able to check those tasks off if it becomes something that you need to do. But it's important to not ask a question that you already know the answer to, especially if you know that other people have opinions. So if someone expresses an opinion that is not favorable, that you wanted to hear, you've already asked the question anyway, and you already knew the answer. So if someone expresses an opinion, they've got to say what they believe for whatever reason or from whatever limited understanding they have. But you can't be mad at that, because at the end of the day, you know what it is and you're the person doing it. And it's key that you stay focused on the questions that only you need to answer. You know, you need to answer these questions about what it is you're looking to do and what you believe about the process and what you believe about your idea you may have. So that's key. Being clear, zipping your mouth, don't say too much, only when necessary, and also to people that you believe you've assessed that are worthy of hearing what it is, because you do not need to be sidetracked. So that's key. So try that. Try the process. If it's something that you need assistance on, try that process. And yeah, it will be something that you will definitely see results once you are committing to tasks per day.